Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. As we always start our shows by the name of Allah, the Most High, the Most Merciful, the Especially Merciful. We seek His blessings, we seek His forgiveness, we seek His guidance. This is another show about another brother who has joined this Revert family a long time ago. This brother is very dear and close to my heart. I love him in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I can't do too much tazkiyah on him because, as we know, doing tazkiyah, talking too good about a person in his face is not good, recommended in Islam. But I'll let the brother talk and introduce himself, inshallah. And he is well known, alhamdulillah, in the community. He is the principal of ATA, Al-Ikhlas Training Academy. It's a school that I went to one day back in the days when I was younger. It's a place where a lot of brothers that I know that graduated from, and it's a place, alhamdulillah, that hosted a lot of leaders and community members today who are currently working, mashallah, doing great things and big things. Brother Nader, we're going to have him introduce himself to us, inshallah, and then get into the story of how he got introduced to this path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how it was great for him and how he was impacted to come in and join this big family that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen for him.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise and thanks belongs to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds. It's certainly my honor to be a guest here with our dear brother Safwan on the Revert show. And today I just want to talk to you a little bit about myself. My name is Nader Ahmed, and I am the director of Al-Ikhlas Training Academy. And just to talk a little bit about how I was introduced to Al-Islam back some years ago. I reverted to Al-Islam from Christianity back in 1973. However, I was first introduced to Islam by my brother back in 1971 when I returned home from Vietnam. I did 13 months in Vietnam. I was in the U.S. military, the Army actually. And when I came home from Vietnam, my brother had come home from Germany. And he was telling me he met some Muslims in Germany. At that time, I didn't know pretty much anything about Islam or what Muslims were. So he had met these brothers, and then when he came home and that was Petersburg, Virginia at that time, he met some brothers there in Petersburg that were in the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the late Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so he talked to me about Islam, and you know, I was curious. I had no clue what it was about. And he gave me this album by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad entitled The Judgment. And I listened to that album, and he was talking about the judgment of God on America because of America's misbehavior, and especially its treatment of the African Americans, the ex-slaves. And I listened to that album, and anyone in the audience, the listening audience, that may have heard that album before, they know how frightening it was. And as a young man, I listened to that, and it scared me. It did scare me. So after listening to that album, then my brother gave me a book that had been authored by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also. That book was entitled The Message to the Black Man. And I got that book, I read it, and there were some things in there that really caught my attention. And so, me being in the Army at that time, I couldn't, they did not allow you into it was called temples at that time. Uh, they wouldn't allow you in if you were in the military, and especially in the military uniform. You couldn't wear that, not into the temples at that time. So my brother was an officer in the Nation of Islam. He was a captain. And so he kept inviting me to come down. So I decided, myself and another brother, Brother Hamidullah El Amin, may Allah rest his soul in peace. He has passed away now. He was also in the military. And so he had gone down, so he told me, he said, look, brother, come on, go with me down. I said, okay, I'll go with you. And so we went, and I listened to, the message that the minister, as they were called during that time, I listened to the message from the minister, and it really caught my attention. I said, I think this is what I've been looking for. And so, they went through the whole thing of, not eating pork and all of that, and not, all of the don't do's, no drinking, none of those kind of things. So, being young, I wasn't quite ready to give up everything. No, I wasn't ready to give up everything.
At any time for that, yeah.
No, I wasn't ready for that yet. But anyway, so what I did, once I got out of the military in 1970, I got out in 1971, I got out. And, I visited the mosque for a few times because they changed the name from temple to mosque. So I visited a few times, but I still wasn't ready to give up everything. But later on, I decided, along with my wife and my sister, we decided that we would convert to Islam. And the three of us converted the same night. We declared our Islam. My wife, my sister, and I in 1973.
Allahu Akbar.
And Alhamdulillah, I've been steadfast since that time. In 1975, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away, and his son Imam Warithuddin Muhammad became the leader. And Alhamdulillah, may Allah rest his soul in peace. He has passed away now, but he miraculously, in my opinion, brought the Nation of Islam from the old theology to Sunni or Orthodox Islam.
MashaAllah.
And actually, that conversion of the Muslims from the old Nation of Islam to Sunni or Orthodox Islam was the greatest mass conversion in the history of this country. There's no one has converted as many people to Islam in this country as did Imam Warithuddin. And may Allah bless him with Jannatul Firdaus. That is the highest, one of the highest stations in paradise. But after becoming Muslim, I decided, and I'm kind of shifting, and I got to leave out a lot of things because it would take me a week to talk about all of what we've done. But I decided back years ago that once I had children, I didn't want them to be educated in the public school system because of some of the things that were going on in the school system. I didn't want my children educated in that system. I wanted them educated actually in Islam. And so there in Petersburg, Virginia at that time, we did not have an Islamic school. So back in 1978, I decided that we would open a school. And I called the Virginia State Board of Education, and I told them what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to open a private school, an Islamic school. And they said, okay, we'll send you the package, fill out everything, send it back, we'll review it. If it's acceptable, then we'll approve the school. And they did. They approved the school, so we opened in 1978. It was myself and Sister Mary Latif and Sister Isla Rashida. They were two former school teachers. We opened the Sister Clara Muhammad School there in Petersburg, Virginia in 1978. That was the first school my two youngest sons attended. And then in 1980, I moved to Detroit because there was a program here I wanted to take in Arabic and Muslim World Studies. So I moved here to Detroit, and with no intention of staying here. I was intending to
just in and out.
do that program. It was a 2-year program. Excuse me. So I intended to do that program and then go back to Virginia because I had no intention of staying here. But after being here and while I was here in Detroit taking the program, which it took, instead of 2 years, it took me 3 years because they weren't offering all of the classes at that time. Some semesters they didn't offer certain classes.
What university was that?
That was at Wayne County Community College. And at that time with Dr. Abdul Munim Shaker, that was the only Muslim World Studies program on a college level in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how come I ended up here. And so while here, my wife and children moved here, and I got hired at the Sister Clara Muhammad School as a teacher. And while we were here, they closed the school in Virginia, so wasn't no chance of me going back. So that's how this sojourn kind of begun. I'll just stop if you need some questions or something. You can ask questions anytime.
No, continue.
Okay.
I'm in the zone.
And so actually, I think in what was it, 1991, Sister Clara Muhammad School was closed.
It was shut down due to what? What was the reason? Is it because lack of teachers, lack of students, or?
No, it wasn't any of that. The board at that time decided that, because of finances, they would close the school. And what they told me, I was the principal at that time. So they told me that they had voted to close the school and do some fundraising for a year or two and then reopen the school. Well, that wasn't an option for me because we had all of our students there. I had my kids and there were other parents. So we met with the other parents. At that time, I was the imam of Masjid Al-Ikhlas on the east side of Detroit. And so we had a meeting with the parents, and I told them what I had in mind, that I didn't intend to put my children in public school, that I was going to open a school.
Right.
And of course, they didn't want to put their kids in public school either. So they said, okay, if you open a school, we'll put our kids in.
MashaAllah.
And so at that time, we didn't have a school building.
No building yet.
No, we didn't have no building.
Uh-huh.
We had the masjid and we had a culture center a couple of doors down. So I told them, I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build some partitions, and during the week, we will partition off the musalla and the masjid, and we will partition off the culture center, make classrooms there, and we're going to have school here.
We're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen. And
MashaAllah.
so, and really we didn't have money either now.
That's the start of every evil is there's no money.
No money. I'll tell you how much money I had. The school didn't exist, so it didn't have any money. I had $34.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah. And so what I did, I decided to make up some flyers, and I started buying the wood to build the partitions. And so I made up some flyers. I put some down at Wayne State and other places. And I got a call one Sunday afternoon. And this was, I think, in July of 1991. And the brother called me. He was a student there at Wayne State. He was a doctor from Indonesia. He was, he had traveled here to take some courses at Wayne State. And he called me and said, I saw the flyer that you're opening a school. And I've got a daughter, I want to put her in. I said, okay. I said, well, you can come by, we'll meet. And so that Sunday afternoon, after Ta'aleem services, he came by the masjid. And he brought his daughter, and she was a little one, a little kindergartner. She was flipping around in the musalla. And so we talked about, what we were planning to do. And he says, okay, could I see the school? I said, yeah, you're looking at it.
You're in it.
Yeah. And so I told him what I was intending to do.
Right.
And he said, well, I want to enroll my daughter.
MashaAllah.
I said, okay.
That was your first customer, huh?
First customer from Indonesia.
Allahu Akbar.
And I took that as a sign from Allah. I said, this is a sign from Allah.
Yeah.
Our first student is from Indonesia, which, as you know, Indonesia, in terms of the demographics, it has the most Muslims.
The most Muslims, yes.
Yeah. So I took that as a sign from Allah that we were going to be okay.
MashaAllah.
And so we registered his daughter that day, and I got a down payment.
Allahu Akbar.
So I had I think it was $350 something or something like that. I said,
that's a good start.
This is a good start. And so I started building the partitions and so forth. But then there was a brother that used to teach math for us at the Sister Clara Muhammad School, Brother Yusuf. And Brother Yusuf told me, he said, Brother Nader, the Brother Saleh and them, the Yemeni brothers, they got a school that they're not using, a school building.
Oh,
so
that's
they
right.
only use it on the weekends. I said, oh, yeah? He said, yeah, only on the weekends. He said, so I'll talk to them and see if they want to lease it. I said, okay, do so. So he talked to them, and they said, yeah. And so they wanted to meet with me, which I met with them, and I told them what we wanted to do. It's okay. And so they told me how much they wanted to lease it for, and what they needed. They said, okay, we'll lease it for $3,000 a month, and we need the first month down and
security deposit.
The security deposit. So we want
$6,000. Yeah.
I said, no.
I ain't got that.
$3,000 a month we can't do anyway. I said, give you $2,000 a month, and I don't have no security deposit.
Not yet.
He said, well, let me go talk to the brothers and see. He went to the brothers, talked to them, and they agreed.
Allahu Akbar.
So, alhamdulillah. that was the start of Al-Ikhlas Training Academy.
Allah, a great
And
start.
that was back in 1991.
MashaAllah.
That was our first year.
MashaAllah.
And we opened straight away kindergarten through 12th grade.
Right away.
Right away.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. And the first year, alhamdulillah, I think the first year we opened, we ended up with about 165 students.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Allahumma barik.
Yeah. So that's
amazing.
that has been what we have been doing
Allahu Akbar.
for the most part. Yes, sir.
Allahu Akbar. So you heard it here first. Story of a great brother, a beloved brother, and a story of the start of a big thing, really a big thing, subhanAllah. Starting Islamic schools here in America was not the priority that everybody looked at as Muslims. Not everybody was looking at it in a sense of, you know, our kids are here, our kids are living here, and they have to have some kind of education that would save them by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, and save them in these grounds or on these grounds that they're living in, and they're, you know what I'm saying, getting around and meeting with people. So just putting them in a public school just like that was not an option. And having brothers like Brother Nader and so many others right now, alhamdulillah, so many schools today in 2020 that we have, alhamdulillah, saves kids, alhamdulillah, saves our Muslim community, saves our the Islamic world here in America. Because here in America, mashallah, we got millions of Muslims. Now, if everybody gonna just say, you know what, it's okay, I got my kids, but I work, I go outside the house, my kids go to school, and I don't know what they are being taught at school. Now, they might be academically good, but Islamically, are they really being taught the monotheism when holidays or American holidays hit? Are they really being taught what those holidays are? Are they our holidays? Are they their holidays? Are we allowed to be celebrating these holidays? How women and men are supposed to be communicating with each other? How are we supposed to be dealing business-wise with everybody? How are we supposed to be doing throughout our lives? So having schools like this, Al-Ikhlas Training Academy, honest to God, was a good start for me, myself. I was taught in Al-Ikhlas Training Academy at one point in my life, even though it wasn't the whole 12 years of my education, but that 1 year that I was here, it was a great experience for me, for my brother, for my sister, for my other brother, for everybody that I knew as far as the community that is concerned. And, you know, moving on from one school and then being the reason for other brothers to open up different schools, that's a great thing, man. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger says, الدال على الخير كفاعله. Those who show people or guide people towards the good are very similar to as if they did that good themselves. So they get the reward. The person who saw this will get the reward, and then you will get the same reward as well. So it was is going to keep compiling over each other, and you gaining all the reward. So learning from stories like this is important for us. So when we share information with you, when you share information with your brother, when your brother shares information with others, it all gonna chain back to the original message, the message of the Prophet Muhammad, and then so on and so forth. So we have to understand that if you have a good intention, and you think that this intention that you're about to you carry out in your action is good and beneficial for you and your community, you need to push hard to do it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that put that intention in your heart to begin with. And He didn't put it in your heart just playing a game or playing around. He only put it in your heart because He knows that you are able to carry it out. You are able to make it happen. If you said, you know what, this is a good idea, but I can't do it. If you couldn't do it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never put that in your heart to begin with. So we got a few questions for Brother Nader, so we can continue this show, inshallah, to keep it as exciting as the story was and as beautiful as it is, alhamdulillah, and as beneficial as it should be, inshallah ta'ala. So question number one, when you decided to jump into the school at right next to Mu'adh bin Jabal, right? It was across the street from Mu'adh bin
Yes.
Jabal in Hamtramck.
Yes.
What were the hardships that you faced to begin? Because I know you only had $350 in your pocket. What happened then?
Well, we the first thing we had to do obviously was get into the building, do cleaning, painting, all of that, get the building ready for students. So we got in there, myself and a couple other brothers and some sisters helped too.
MashaAllah.
And we did the initial work to getting the building ready. And the first thing we did an open house. We did an open house. We invited the community, and we had a translator, and we spoke to the community. The community came out too. We had a full house.
Allahu Akbar.
And so we spoke to the community. We had the brother translating into Arabic for the non English speaking. And at first there was the issue of brothers and sisters in the same classroom. There were community members that did not want that. They wanted the boys separate from the girls. So my question to them was, are you willing to pay double tuition? Because that means I got to hire double amount of teachers,
and have double classes.
Obviously, nobody was prepared to do that. But to his credit, Sheikh Saleh Al-Jahim, he was the first one to enroll his kids. So when he enrolled his daughters and sons, then other brothers followed through.
MashaAllah.
And for some of the girls, as you know, or you may not know, what they were doing once they got to middle school, they would take them out of school there in the Yemeni community. They would not let them go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
No, they would take them out of school, keep them at home.
I see.
So this was an opportunity for their girls to go to high school. And as you know, we had boys on one side of the classroom, girls on the other, or either vice versa, some in the front or some in the back. Either way, we didn't have them mixed together as they are in many of your public institutions. And also, some classes, say for example, like health and phys ed, Islamic studies, those classes, girls were completely separate from boys because of some of the sensitive things that I dealt with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But from that point, we had no problem. Every now and again, you will get a parent saying, well, you got separate classes. No, they go to university, they're not going to have separate classes. Matter of fact, they don't even set them on different sides.
Exactly.
You sit where you can get a chair.
Wherever is available.
Yeah, right. and you the girl might be sitting in the seat right next to a boy or right behind or whatever.
That's right.
As we know. So that we got past that challenge. Then of course, the next challenge is raising funds. That is always an issue. But the community were fairly supportive.
MashaAllah.
So, thanks to the Almighty, we were able to make it.
MashaAllah.
And to the community's credit in Canton, which we've had a relationship for many years, they have been, and we're considered as sister schools. There's the Crescent Academy in Canton, and they have been extremely supportive over the years. That community, every year we go to that community. At least once a year we have a fundraising dinner out there, and they're very supportive. But finance has been the biggest issue.
Right, obviously.
But that's not something unique just to us. All
Exactly.
schools deal with financial
All schools,
issues.
right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
because schools are not a profit-making entity.
That's right.
Of course, now we've got charter schools; they're profit-making entities, but for Islamic schools, they're nonprofit.
Uh-huh.
So all Islamic schools are dealing with the same thing, raising funds and so forth.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, but thanks to Allah, He's blessed us to make it.
So if you have an advice in the last few minutes that we have here to all parents in America, Western world, Western society, who put their kids in public schools, what advice do you give them, if you don't mind, please?
Well, if they have no option, because some people live in areas where there are no Islamic school,
That's right.
and you have to put your kids in public school, then you have to really monitor what they're doing. You have to really do that. But for parents that have access to an Islamic school, I would say make the sacrifice, put your kids in an Islamic school. It might not be easy. It wasn't easy for me. I put my kids through Islamic school. It wasn't easy. But it's easier than getting them out of prison.
If you got to this point, then I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have benefited from this beautiful story of Brother Nader. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him and give him the best of health. This cut was made on purpose to air the rest of this interview a different time so it could stay as short as 30 minutes by the will of Allah. The brothers at the Alumni Association of Al-Ikhlas Training Academy are inviting you. They are inviting you to the 7th annual fundraising banquet called Affording Access, Preserving Inner City Islamic Tradition. This is going to be on Saturday, March 14th, 2020. Saturday, March 14th, 2020. Doors will open at 3:30 p.m. and the program begins at 4 o'clock. Please be there. This is important. This is to support this school, Al-Ikhlas Training Academy, along with the movement of Islamic schools here in Detroit City and the communities of the Muslims all over the country. This is how Muslims help each other and strengthen each other by schools and by fundraisings, because these schools don't go on without expenses. These schools are very expensive to run, and tuition alone is not enough. So fundraisings like this are needed to continue the push of these schools, to continue the efforts of these schools. This is going to be held at the Muslim Center, 1605 Davidson Avenue, Detroit City, 48238. The keynote speaker will be Abdullah Wahid, Imam of Flint Community Center. The tickets are very reasonable, my dear brothers and sisters. $25 for singles, $40 for couples, and $10 for students. $10, you can afford that. And if you want to get a whole table, it's $200. So you and your group, you and your brothers, you and your sisters, you and your family can just take one table for a couple $100, supporting a school like this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. For more information, call any one of these numbers: 313-806-3856 or 313-655-3442 or 313-825-8349 or 313-207-5966. Buy your tickets, make a change. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.